How's it going? It's good. You saw me move my chair just there. I didn't want to get injured by David's arms.
This crowd is awesome. You guys are awesome.
So, first, to Stephen, thank you for coming back to Salt Lake.
Yeah, second time here. Fantastic.
And to David, thank you so much for coming for your first time.
My first time, guys. Thank you.
I know you guys want to jump right to the fans because you guys are amazing to your fans. I just have one question. I told all my friends I was going to ask this. It's to Stephen. I just want to know, like, how do they CGI those abs on you every episode? That's going to cost a lot of money.
I mean, I'll tell you what. If they can make 9-foot-tall talking turtles, they can create an 8-pack,
right?
Also, if they can wipe out all the times that I laughed during takes with John Barrowman and this guy, they can handle the 8-pack.
Awesome. All right.
They're the real deal. They're the real deal.
Oh yeah, it makes me sick every time. Damn it. Okay. I think we're gonna open up the questions. So just start lining up. We're dead in the center. So let's do this.
Harley.
All right. So my first question is for Steven. How did you think about Oliver Queen in season 1 and then season 5? How did he change, and did you think he changed for the better or the worse?
I think that he changed the way that people change in life, which is that you add certain good qualities and you pick up certain bad qualities. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about season 5 is that in the flashbacks, I'm playing a version of Oliver that is remarkably close to the version that we meet in season 1. And it's been fun to go back there. Meanwhile, they've been joking in the writer's room and talking with the EPs that amongst the group, the team, as it were, Oliver at the moment is sort of the optimist. So I'm happy with where he is right now. I think it's in a good spot. And be honest, did you ever actually play the original Nintendo? Okay.
Hi, my name's Esty.
Hey, Esty.
Okay, So, my question is, I love your guys' work, and I'm also a really big fan of the show The Flash. So I was wondering, what has been your favorite episode, like, to do with their cast? Because I know you guys cross over like all the time. So I was wondering, what's your favorite episode to do with them, and how is the dynamic between the two casts when they work together?
I hate them.
Grant looks like a jerk.
Flash. You know, it's weird because they're literally next door. Like,
That's true.
They're on the other side of the wall. They're that close to us. I mean, they're truly our neighbors.
But there is also an element of their cast that is reflective of their show, which is to say that they are bright and cheery and sing-alongs. Shut up, let's get to work, shut up.
Yes, exactly. They also work like 8-hour days or 7-hour days. We work like 16-hour days. So Flash, they're soft. Soft, man. Print it!
I mean, obviously, I think the first time that, you get to, that we all got to meet Barry Allen before he was the Flash, and scenes like that, and the scene that I got to shoot with Grant in the Flash pilot was certainly, enjoyable and felt epic and all those things. But my favorite scene is just whenever Diggle interacts with the Flash. The first time that David, you tell the story because none of us could keep a straight face, and David wanted to make sure that. Go.
It's funny too because the first time I ever meet Flash, Andrew Kreisberg, executive producer of the show, he was sitting in Video Village where he kind of watches what's going on in front of the screen, and he was like, "Listen, when you see Flash, I want you to just go big." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I did it, and I threw like one fry in the air or whatever. He was like, "No, like go like crazy big, dude. Go crazy big." So I threw like all the fries in the air, and just everybody howled laughing. So the thing is now we're doing our 8th episode is our 100th episode of Arrow. It's coming up very, very soon. It's a huge. So we talked about this with the producers. It really is a big thing. Diggle has to have a reaction to Supergirl that rivals Flash. So I decided that maybe he can pee just a little bit.
John, she's an alien and she can fly, and she's from a different Earth. GP, a little bit.
Bottom lip quiver.
Thank you for your question.
That was an awesome question, thank you.
Hello. So, this question came to me in a dream last night, and it's burning in my heart ever since.
Let's answer it before it burns it down.
I appreciate your concern. Do you prefer ravioli or SpaghettiOs?
That's a very good question.
That's what burns your heart?
Heartburns is hard.
I like ravioli better, but I'm always more satisfied after SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
The portions for ravioli. Ravioli. Is that that's the fifth Ninja Turtle. The portions for ravioli are always too small. So my eyes focus on it on the menu, but then my heart sinks. It doesn't burn, but it sinks.
Yeah, ravioli for sure.
Hi.
Jean Grey.
Rogue, actually.
That's what I said.
So there is reportedly going to be a Supergirl Flash musical crossover, and I was wondering if there's any chance we could get an Oliver Diggle cameo in one of the musical numbers.
Look, we just show up where the producers tell us. That's it.
True. That's true, we do. We just
It would be fantastic. Diggle, like playing a trumpet, like slow blues. Glasses, smoke.
Love smoke a little brandy. Sexy, very sexy. Thank you, Rogue.
Hi. What was your favorite moment on set with John Barrowman?
What was our favorite moment on set with John Barrowman? There are so many favorite moments with John Barrowman. I've said this a million times, it's amazing the three of us get any work done when we're together.
Yeah.
Like, John Barrowman is like really certifiable.
So John is a, despite his antics, believe me when I tell you, he is a consummate professional.
Yeah.
And he cares a lot about his professionalism. Now, one of the ways that as an actor you can care about your professionalism is that when the camera is pointed at the actor who is your scene partner, and you are behind the camera so they can't see you saying your lines, normally if you're on camera and you drop a line, because we have to memorize a lot of lines, you just say, line, or you just go again, and it's fine. John doesn't stop. If John is saying a line, he drops it, he just starts saying random stuff until he gets to the end of his speech. And it destroys the two of them.
Yeah, no, we died. Because you can see John working. For example, the camera's on him. No, the camera's on us, right? It's not on him, so he doesn't really have to do any work, but he's really trying to give it his all so we can do the scene right. All he has to say is, I have to go to the store to get some milk, for example. That's all he has to say. But he can't remember it. So his camera's on us, and he's going, I have to go. Milk is what I really want to say, and store is there someplace in the line, but I'm not quite sure where it fits in and we're just like, we're dying because he wants to help us so bad, but yeah.
And then he always, in an English accent, every once in a while, he'll say bollocks. That destroys me too. Bollocks. Oh, I miss John.
Yeah, we miss John.
Yeah. Not that he hasn't been on the show.
I feel like I should have gotten that, but I didn't.
That's on my Facebook Live to go with all of you, so. Tremendous.
Hi, my name is Holly.
Hi.
I have a question for both of you. Excluding death scenes, what emotional dialogue scene in Arrow was the hardest for you and challenged you as an actor?
It's a good question.
Well, it didn't directly involve a death scene, but the last scene that I shot with Susanna Thompson, who played my mom, was the scene in a way back flashback when I have just discovered that the girl that I got pregnant has lost the baby. Never do that. It was our last scene together, and both of us knew it. And the dialogue and the screen direction didn't necessarily call for the type of emotion that came forward in that scene, but we couldn't hold it back. So that scene actually ended up being something very different. And I think that it turned out great, but it was right teetering on the edge of being something that would stick out as like, that seems like it doesn't quite belong in the show or isn't what it is supposed to be. So that was certainly the toughest one for me.
Yeah, I don't know if this was tough for me, but I think it was profound in that the theme was kind of repeated throughout the show, and oddly enough, we kind of touch on it even this season to some degree. When Diggle in season 1 is offered by Oliver to be part of the team, and he refuses at first, comes back to the Queen Mansion and accepts the offer. And he has a very nice moment with Oliver where he talks about the fact that Oliver doesn't quite understand what taking a life does to the soul. And he needs to know that. And I think that theme was repeated throughout season 1, season 2 to kind of create and not just through my character, but also through Felicity, to kind of, and through his best friend's Tommy's death. All these things kind of, I think, created a more well-rounded hero. And I think that was just a very important theme, also for television, also, just kind of, this is vigilante justice, and what does that mean? And I think Diggle was the first voice of reason to that end. Yeah.
Hello, so my name is Jeremiah, and this is specifically directed towards you, Stephen. Getting a little bit more serious here, I was actually kind of curious. I wanted to know your perspective of what you do for charity, and how you put so much money, and you put so much time, and you put so much effort into not only saving people's lives, changing people's lives, from helping somebody being stuck in a car in the snow, to completely raising thousands and thousands of dollars for some poor girl who can't pay for her own medical bills, and her parents are in a tight spot. And I wanted to know, have you always looked to do that in your life? Have you always wanted to do that? Is this something in your career that you took as a side as you saw the ability to?
No, this came about the way that a lot of things, on my various social media platforms come about, which is I just happen to be on set, I happen to be scrolling through the Facebook page, or someone gets in touch with me, and I find something that resonates with me, that's close to my heart, that I want to contribute to. The key word in that sentence was platform. I have one. I've been afforded one, which I think is a privilege, and I have decided to use it, in a particular way. I don't think that way is necessarily correct, or the way that you should use it. It's just the way that I decided to use it. And it was actually, when I was here in 2014, that was right after my first foray into this, where we raised some money for a little girl named Sophie. And I think actually the day that I was here, someone brought this up today, we had actually just started a campaign for a little boy named Jojo. And you know what? There have been more campaigns since then. There have been campaigns that haven't been as public, ones that have been private. And I think that we're gearing up for another one. So it affects me in the sense that I just like the opportunity to do some good. And I don't know, fills me up a little bit from a selfish perspective.
I've got a quick question for both of you guys. It's a question I ask everyone, and I think it tells a lot about a person. What is your go-to karaoke song?
What's my go-to karaoke song?
Huh?
Oh, boy. Oh, it changes. I like Summer of '69. I like Chicken Fried. Oh, forget about Dre. I'm good for a ton, actually. Do you have one? I've never heard you karaoke.
No,
we've karaoke together.
Yeah, we karaoke together. I don't know, it just kind of comes out.
Which is odd, because it wasn't a karaoke bar.
Just
we were in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was not a karaoke bar.
It wasn't. It was fun, though. That was fun. I have to think about that.
Hi, my name's Jameson. I was wondering, if you went to Hogwarts, what would your house be?
You're a Harry Potter fan?
Oh.
If you were going to Hogwarts, the School of Magic and Wizardry, I don't know. All I know is that my sister at Comicon hyperventilated around Tom Felton at all times.
Oh, yeah.
He was such a nice guy, too. He stood and talked with her for like 10 minutes. She just comes back like this. What house did Professor Snape? Yeah, I'm gonna go Slytherin. as Professor Alan Rickman Snape.
Yeah, I would have to. Not because you said it, that would have to be Miles too. I mean, I like Rickman, forget about it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's be the same.
That's a good question. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dan, and I know that as an actor, you guys have lots of different lines and things that you have to say and remember. What is the most embarrassing or cheesiest line that you had to say and you're like thinking, oh my gosh, why did they say that? But you had to because it was your character. That you regret saying, essentially.
I can't remember the specific line, but it definitely happened when I was guest starring on 90210. All due respect to that show did more episodes than Arrow did, God bless it, but boy oh boy, there were some lines. And when you have a line like that, you have no choice but to wrap your arms around it and kiss that line on the mouth.
Yeah, you did.
Which is what I did. And then they asked me to leave.
I don't know, man. I've said so many times to Arrow that he doesn't know what the world he's talking about. It has to be one of those lines. I don't know.
I think one of the things, maybe you'll agree with this, is that we are a serialized television show. And the bottom line is that on a show like this, especially on network TV, it is way more formatted than something like Game of Thrones or Mad Men or anything that you would see on cable or Netflix. And bottom line, we have to do a data dump at the beginning of every episode. We have to recap what happened.
Exposition.
We have to do exposition. And I think that we, on our show, it typically will happen amongst the team in the lair, and we will set the stage based on last week's event and sort of where we are in the season. And I feel like we have fun with that. Recognize it for what it is, and try to do a good job.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but some of it can be laborious in the sense that, you know, you kind of have to make these words that are very expositional, if that's a word, kind of real for you as a character. So I think sometimes, and we do have fun with that, because we just kind of, we hear ourselves saying for the 21,000th time,
we've got a new problem.
Exactly. So yeah. There you go.
Hi, my name is Charlotte, and my question for you is, since there is so much darkness on Arrow, what did you have to tap into to be able to portray that darkness?
Way to bring it down. Well, I mean, for me, I took playing an Army Ranger very seriously, and I think it was important for me, just in terms of Diggle recognizing that the guy he's mentoring, at least for the first 2 seasons, was suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. I think that was an important element of Diggle. How do you tap into some of that darkness? I don't know. I mean, I think some of the research has something to do with that, just in terms of, getting into the character. But I think also the words help. You know, all these are layers. You know, as actors, the words help, the wardrobe helps, being in the dark environment helps. All of these things kind of add different layers, I think. So for me, it was kind of just studying what it was like to be an Army Ranger, what it was like to be a soldier going through post-traumatic stress syndrome. And then after that, it was just adding the different layers of costume, wardrobe, lights, and working with other great actors. Everyone kind of brings their own thing to it, and it's great to work with great actors and you're bouncing off of them. So that would be my answer. All of it helps.
Yeah, and for me, there wasn't really a lot of darkness involved. Like, I played a real-life murderer, and because that person was a murderer, that person had no friends. So I didn't work with actors on a consistent basis. I'd work with actors one scene at a time, and at the end of the scene, they'd be like, "You're really nailing it." And you're like, "Oh." And that sort of brought me down. But, the idea and the pursuit of the idea that whatever Oliver is doing, he's trying to do good, I don't really have to summon a lot of darkness. Do you know what I mean? Plus, the suit's so cool. Hey, Barry.
Hey, how's life? So, my dad passed away from cancer this summer, and I just want to thank you for the F Cancer campaign that you're doing now.
You're welcome, man.
I want to know if you're doing anything for F Cancer again.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to be working with F Cancer again before the end of the year. Sure.
So, who are your favorite Arrow villains?
For me, I think it's someplace between China White and Deadshot.
Deathstroke. It's just Deathstroke.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
It is what it is, Deathstroke. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you just called that guy the Flash Barry. Is that Barry Allen? Is he the Flash? Just kidding. Anyways, I heard your comment, Steven, about how they're recasting the Flash for the movie, how it's not going to be Grant, and I heard you were very cordial about it, but you thought he should be the Flash on the movie. If they were to make a movie of the Green Arrow, how would you feel if they recast you?
It's fine. It's fine. That's a great question. So, to go to the first part of what you said first, I wasn't mad that they didn't cast Grant in the movie. What I called into question was the timing of the announcement, which I think I used the word "it sucked," and it did. And, after that interview came out, I felt the need to actually get in touch with a couple of people to clarify my position, to make sure that they knew that, it's not that I thought that Grant had ownership of the role. Again, I just thought that the timing was less than appropriate. And I do. And you can record that. I do not have a right to Oliver Queen. Someone played it before me, someone voiced it before me, somebody will play it after me. I don't believe that there are plans for Oliver Queen in the DC Extended Universe based on things that people have told me, but I would not be upset if that changed at all. Thank you.
I've got a question on that, because so I don't know all the legalities with like Suicide Squad, because they were on there for a little while, then the movie came out, so they couldn't use the characters anymore. But there's a tweet that just came out with Ben Affleck and the Batman movie with Deathstroke. And I love Manu Bennett as Deathstroke. But, so, I mean, is that in jeopardy? Is that something that could be taken away?
Yeah, that's actually something that people bring up on a regular basis that I see on Twitter that DC has told us you can't have, or you must get rid of. That's not how that works. Diane Nelson, Jeff Johns, the people at Warner Brothers on the feature side, the people at Warner Brothers on the television side, are all in the business of making the best products for fans. Diane Nelson sent me a very, very eloquent email and explanation as to why they thought that the cinematic universe and the television universe should remain separate. It was befitting of someone who has risen to the head of DC Entertainment. And it made perfect sense to me. So just because there may or may not be a Deathstroke in the DC Extended Universe doesn't mean that Manu Bennett can't exist on our show. Just because Will Smith played Floyd Lawton doesn't mean that Michael Rowe won't have the opportunity again, despite the fact that he's dead.
Presumably.
But look, there is no infighting. There is no war between the two factions. It's all a collaborative effort, and in the grand scheme of things, I think that the television universe has done just fine for itself.
Okay, So my question for both of you guys is, if you two were to have an arm wrestling match, who would win?
Felicity. She would win.
Yes, what's your question quickly? Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on Hawkeye? And do you think Oliver could kick his ass?
I mean, this is such a common question.
Yes, it is.
It is a common question. I don't know why Oliver would have to kick his ass, because Oliver would probably hit him in the quad with an arrow from 400 feet when he wasn't ready. Because he's a lefty and instinctively at a disadvantage.
Exactly. Softball.
That's just science, guys.
Science.
I'm actually, speaking of people who play the character, if you have followed along, this is the parties that my buddy and I throw. My buddy, Brother Sal, is very good buddies with Jeremy Renner, and we've met a few times, and one of these days we'll just randomly drop a picture that hopefully will break the internet. Not like a Kim Kardashian break the internet, like just a fanboy, girl break the internet.
Yeah, moderate breakage of internets. Hey.
Hi. Steven, I was wondering when you will be on American Ninja Warrior.
Okay, I may have to eventually do this. Why don't we say in 2017? The producers of the show don't know this. But after the panel, I will tweet them and I will tell them that in 2017 I would like to take part in their program.
In the arrow costume. In the arrow costume.
No. Leather looks good on screen. Mobility, yeah. You have to say to Oliver in a straight face that I have to answer in a straight face?
Oh yeah, that's right.
What did you have to say?
I had to say, Oliver, what's in the box? It was awesome too. It's gonna be on it's gonna be on the outtakes, it's gonna be awesome. But I had to say it in all seriousness, because there was a very serious moment.
Did I crack? Did I crack?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It was very good. It was very good. You didn't crack. He
peed a little bit.
He peed a little bit. In leather. It was beautiful.
Nobody can tell.
Hi guys, my name's Ben. I like your shoes, Steven. They're awesome.
Thank you.
My question was, how much of yourself do you bring to the characters that you play, and adversely, how much do you take away from your characters?
Well, let's take the murdering off the table for a second. That's never been something that has interested me. But you know what? You bring a lot. You bring a lot, especially when you're shooting 23 episodes a year. You kind of have to. You know what I mean? And there are and I think that it's become more and more as we've gone through the season. I mean, there's always little idiosyncratic elements that from you that you bring to a character. But I think that has happened more. And I think just because I play him so often, I've developed little Oliver tics. So I don't know what they are, but My wife
I
probably
do.
does.